self-sabotage is what I call reward-based eaters. You know the story you tell yourself. I've worked hard today, so I deserve it. Or I've got to the end of the week, so I deserve it. I've done so well on my diet all week, so I deserve this treat. Don't you ever use the word treat and associated with food ever again. I mean it. Let me tell you where that came from. Sorry, I'm getting very excited. Let me tell you where that came from. That word treat and the reward-based eating was taught to you in childhood. It was taught to you when you got a reward for being a good girl. It was taught to you when you didn't cry, right? When you fell over and skinned your knee and grandma reached for the cookie jar or the lolly jar to get you to shut up, but actually you just thought, good girls don't cry. I'm going to eat my lolly. And so then you associated in your subconscious mind sugar and treats with love and connection. So when you're feeling abandoned, when you're feeling hurt, when you're feeling unsafe, what are you going to do when your subconscious mind and body is programmed to reach for food to give you a false sense of love and connection? You're going to comfort eat. You're going to eat to fill the need for lonely because you're lonely, because you've got no one to turn to. You've got no one to talk. You're going to do that. And this all started in your childhood, so it's not your fault. But on that note, you've got to stop doing that to children today and spread the bloody word. If I could do one thing on this planet, is to educate mothers and grandmothers in our community to stop using food and sugar and food that is toxic to our body as a reward-based form of self-soothing and a false, that is not love and connection. Love and connection is picking beautiful food from the garden or producing a beautiful, healthy, nourishing meal as a family and joyously enjoying the celebration of connection around a healthy dinner table and having beautiful, conscious conversation. That's love and connection. Love and connection is not sugar. But I know that for a lot of you, you were probably programmed that way and wired that way because that's what our grandmothers did. That's all they knew what to do. There was no emotional intelligence. We weren't taught that. We were taught to shove it down and suppress it and don't feel. So we were literally programmed to avoid pain and seek pleasure. And what this means is, how do you transform it? You have to be willing to go into the shadow parts to feel the emotion, the energy in motion. That's all it is, emotion, energy in motion. When you're emotionally triggered and you learn to shove those feelings down with food, how are you ever going to stop that? You're going to stop that by bringing this conscious awareness. You're going to create the new space, bringing conscious awareness. You're bringing the light in because you can now go, oh my Lord, that's what I'm doing. I'm emotionally triggered and all I want to do is avoid reality and go for food right now. And what you're doing is every time you do that, you're putting a Band-Aid over the wound. This is trauma. No one has an emotional trigger today based on the event of what's happening today. It's all your accumulated baggage and trauma from your past. So anytime you go to food for comfort, to stuff down emotional feelings, it's not about what's happening right here, right now that triggered you. It's the accumulation of all your baggage that you have created a habit reward loop because you know that if I go to food, right, it's going to soothe me temporarily. It's going to stimulate dopamine. It's going to make me feel calm. That's food addiction. So I'm going to do that. And what you're not doing is you're not healing. You're not healing your life. What you need to do is to go, I'm not going to turn to food. I'm going to breathe. I'm going to be aware that I have used food for medicine. And I'm going to breathe light into this. I'm going to take 3 deep breaths in my lower belly, which stimulates my parasympathetic nervous system to calm this rush of stress hormones in my body, to bring myself back to center, to ground myself. I'm going to bring my conscious awareness into my heart center and say, am I coming from my heart or my head right now? Because when you're using food as medicine to sabotage yourself, you're in your head, girl. You are in your head. Get out of your head. Come back to your heart. Breathe into your heart space. Breathe into your belly. Bring your nervous system back into balance. You have to be willing to break the patterns and the cycles. You've got to cut that. You've got to cut the cord. You've got to look at life differently now and go, I'm no longer an emotional eater. I no longer identify as a self-sabotaging emotional eater. Oh, this feels better to breathe space. I'm going to run a bath. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to do anything to change my physiology so that I don't default back into the old patterns. I'm going to break this cycle. There is no shortcut. There is no weight loss pill on this planet. There is no program. There is nothing I can do to fix or save you. You've got to do it yourself. You've got to do it yourself. And what you need to do is be willing to disconnect from emotional eating once and for all. You've got to be willing to rewrite a new story, to rewrite your program, to rewrite everything so that you can think like a slim and healthy person. What would somebody that's healthy do right now? What would be a positive choice right now? What is something that I can do to make, instead of going down the spiral of addiction into old and familiar that keeps me stuck, that it's already been 20, 30, 40 years. I'm going to come up. I'm going to rise above this crap. I'm going to breathe new light and bring new consciousness into my life so that I can change it.